Thanks for joining our today's webinar. I believe we'll wait for another couple of minutes because some people are still joining, and in 2 or 3 minutes we're going to kick off. So please stay with us, and meanwhile, while we're waiting for the others to join, please feel free to fill in a short form on the slide that you can see on the screen. That will provide everyone very useful insights regarding to what sort of participants we're having on this call. So it will be, it will be very exciting to learn what sort of people, how they're related to Pega, how they found themselves at this webinar. So we're still joining. So we have got 17 participants already, 18 participants actually. It's good, and we can see some figures appearing on the screen already. Oh, we have just hit 20 participants. That's very good, and people still joining. 21. But let's wait another minute. Right, and for those who have just joined, I want to remind once again, so please fill in the form, which you can see on the screen. You can use the provided QR code and tell us a bit about who you are. So then we'll see, some fancy infographics on who is with us today on this webinar. Okay. Right, 27 people. Okay, we'll give it another minute, and then we'll kick off. Okay, 28. Right, so 29. So let's wait till we have 30 people, and then we'll start immediately. Okay, so we have got 30 people who are with us today. For those who have just joined, I just want to ask you to fill in a short form, which you can find by scanning the QR code on the screen. Then we will be having a look at, fancy infographics that will let everybody understand, what sort of people are on this webinar with us today. So let's get started. We are 32 right now. Thank you very much for everyone. And once again, I will say good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on which part of the planet you come from. My name is Sergey Rabotai. I'm responsible for business development and partnerships at Pega Services. So today we're going to have a webinar. Before we proceed, I'll just give you a short background of the company, that who we are, where we come from. So Pega Services is a professional services company that helps businesses with business process automation using Pega platform. We have been in business for over 10 years. We have got a solid team of 100 plus Pega experts, and for the time being, we have been contributing and helping financial institutions all over the world with getting through the technical challenges or BPM challenges, helping them build new products based on Pega. So today we want to share some of the experience, some of the some of the challenging things that we had in the past, and we hope that you will find it useful. As you know now, many companies are turning to low-code, no-code platform in order to speed up the go-to-market time of their products. Just boosting the speed of releasing the digital solutions. And Pega is one of the leading platforms that provides like a range of products and frameworks. However, though it's been positioned as an easy to use, like a block constructor, as we all know, the devil is in the details, and there are some situations where you cannot proceed with knowing some hacks, know-hows, and something that stays aside from core development practices. So we will share some practical examples that we came up with while working on real commercial projects. And we will have 3 keynotes today that will come from my colleagues. So I would like to introduce Yaroslav, who is our Pega lead architect. Hi, Yaroslav.
Hi, everyone.
Yeah, Yaroslav will speak about how to upgrade legacy Pega application for a tablet format. And, he will use some of the project cases which we delivered for one of the leading banks in Middle East. Then, we'll pass word to another Sergey, who's also a Pega architect. So please welcome Sergey.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining. I'm very glad to see some former colleagues. Hi, guys.
Yeah. So Sergey will talk about the challenge of simultaneous collaboration in Pega and how it is possible to solve it and whether it is possible to solve it at all. And our third presenter for today is Alexander Lutai. He's the CTO of Pega Services.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining. I hope you will enjoy this webinar.
Yeah. Alexander will speak about the ways or how, or how to avoid limitations of standard Pega UI and empower developers to customize the experience and behavior of the UI forms. So here is our agenda for today. So before we start, I want to point your attention that in the bottom of the Zoom application that you all have, you will see the Q&A tab. So please feel free to post your questions to Q&A tab, and we'll go through a Q&A session after all keynotes are completed by our presenters. Well, here we are. So let's get started. And for those who joined, between the presentations, between the keynotes, we will be providing the QR code, which we kindly ask you to fill in so we can see who we have got on this webinar, who is taking part. And I believe this will be useful for all the participants today. Okay, so sorry for being a chatterbox. So let's get started. So I'm passing the stage to Yaroslav. So please give him a warm welcome. Yaroslav, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Sergey. Give me please a moment. Let me just share my screen. Okay, I hope everyone can see my screen now. And let's begin. Hello, everyone. My name is Yaroslav, as Sergey said, and today I'm going to tell you about one interesting case for my low-code practice, how to adapt Pega application for tablets. Let's begin. A little bit about myself. 1/3 of my whole life I've been working with different business process automation solutions, such as low-code, no-code platforms, some Java frameworks like Activity or Camunda, but my favorite is Pega. I'm a certified Pega lead system architect. I took part in many Pega projects for the clients from different regions, Western and Eastern Europe, Middle East, North America, CIS, and so on. Some time ago, I received a request from our sales team. Yaroslav, tell us please, can we help a Middle East bank adapt existing Pega application for new universal banking offices? Okay, I said, why not? Let's get some more details about what they want to achieve and what they have now. The first thing we did was the audit. The application was working on Pega 7 platform. 3 different teams were working on it for different business lines and products. This application has been in development for a couple of years. It had about 10,000 rules, and no one really took into consideration guardrails and best practices. What we needed to do was to create a tablet version of existing desktop application. Why was it so important for the client? The main feature of new universal banking offices consisted in elimination of desktop computers. Only managers with tablets would be consulting the customers about any service provided by the bank. Our mission was to modernize legacy Pega application, to make it look fancy on tablets, introduce a unique customer journey, and keep all existing functionality of the application. We had quite short time frame to complete all these tasks, only 3 months. So, what did we need to do to achieve our goal? Here was our plan. First thing we did was an upgrade of Pega platform to the latest version. So it will allow us to use new features of adaptive UI and new mobile features for hybrid clients. The second thing that we need to do was during the upgrade, the other teams kept implementing new features for the business. So we had to merge the new rules with ours and resolve all the possible conflicts. And after the upgrade and merge, we needed to check how the upgrade application looks on tablets. We were hoping that the worst thing that could happen was just the minor bugs. As you all may know, upgrading Pega can be a nightmare. It's a big topic for a separate discussion, so I'll outline only a few things about how it went for us. We had to add one new upgrade team to already existing 3 teams. The upgrade team consisted of 1 CSSA and 1 LSA, myself. We created 3 new environments: upgraded development environment, upgraded quality assurance environment, and upgraded user acceptance testing environment to test everything. On upgraded dev environment, we skimmed all the rules to the new major versions of applications and the rule sets and started fixing everything to make it work. The skimming and fixing process took about 6 weeks, and after that, we were finally able to pass the regression testing on QA environment. So we finalized the upgrade bug fix build, and the next thing we started to work on was merging new business features implemented by other dev teams. It took us another week to merge and 1 more week to retest everything. The last thing, and the most important one, we completed the production environment upgrade in 4 hours during 1 night. Okay, now when everything was upgraded, it was time to check the new portal on a tablet. Sorry, 1 moment. We were hoping that everything would work just fine, like this happy Simpson family sitting on the couch together, each on their favorite spot. But hope for the best, prepare for the worst, right? The user portal were completely distorted. The menu wasn't working, the navigation bar moved somewhere outside of the screen, only half of the working area was available. We had only 4 weeks left until the new office opening, and we had to find a way to make it work. We worked out 3 different approaches to adjust everything quickly and to make it work on a high quality level. The first approach was to try to adapt portals in the current upgraded application. The second approach was to create a new portal in the current application for a new tablet manager role. And the last approach was to create a new tablet application built on the desktop upgraded application. Let's take a closer look on these approaches. Each of them had their pros and cons. Approach number one, to fix current application, to fix portals. We already got used to this application. It is familiar for us, so we knew where and what to fix. And also we didn't need to create new rule sets, classes, roles, access groups, and so on. But there were too many things that could have been affected by these fixes. We needed to update some custom CSS and JavaScript rules, but we didn't have enough time for it. So we declined this approach. The second approach was to create new access group with its own roles and its own portal. If we had created a separate portal and a separate role, it wouldn't have affected other desktop portal, right? But sometimes, in some cases, adding a new role can be a problem. If the guidelines were ignored, you have to update a lot of rules to make it work, due to hard coding of role name, to hard coding of access group role name, and something like that. So we also declined this approach. And the last one is to create a new application for tablets with its own portal. Our team decided to go with this approach, and let me tell you why. The main idea was that the new application didn't affect the desktop application at all, and we could reuse all the rules we needed to build a new tablet portal fast. But there were still some cons, because building a new tablet application meant that we had to build a new pipeline for it with its own unique release cycle. And also we need to create new classes, rule sets, and access groups, and so on. So let's sum everything up. We upgraded Pega platform in 2 months, built a new tablet application, and our system was ready for the launch of the new universal banking offices. As a conclusion, I'd like to say that you should always follow the guidelines and best practices provided by Pega. It can save you a lot of time in the future. And another thing that I would like to mention, you have always to remember and to consider that the system can be omni-channel. You never know when you need to add one more channel to your system. Thank you all for your attention. If you have any questions, please use the questions and answers section in the Zoom, and we will try our best to answer them as soon as possible. Thank you again. Sergey?
Yaroslav, thank you very much for an interesting keynote, for an interesting report, and your experience with Pega. So while we are, I'm going to pass words to Sergey right now. So we, you can still, everybody who's present, you can still, share your details with us, so we can see, what sort of people we have watching this webinar. And this information is available to all participants of today's session. Now it's time for our second keynote, and I'm going to pass the word to Sergey, who will speak about the challenge of simultaneous collaboration in Pega. So Sergey, here you are.
Yeah, thanks. I'm almost ready. So let me share my screen.
Yep.
And we'll start.
And I also remind to everyone that you can leave your questions in the Q&A tab, which you can find in the bottom of Zoom application. Thanks.
Okay, I hope that you can see my screen, and I'll start. Hi, everyone again. Thanks for joining. And today I'm going to tell you about how we solve the problem of real-time collaboration in Pega, and I will show you a quick demo of our solutions. First of all, a few words about me. My name is Sergey Kiselev. I work as a lead system architect at pegaservices.io. I have been working with Pega for almost 8 years, and I took a part in the largest Pega projects in European financial institutions. Also, I have a deep knowledge of different Pega frameworks and Pega platform versions. So let's start with addressing the challenge. Some clients come to us and say that they want to include some new steps into their existing Pega process for performing a real-time collaboration. But we all we know that there is no out-of-the-box option to implement this feature. So first of all, out-of-the-box Pega case type default configuration doesn't allow you to collaborate with other users. Two users can't work in a parallel mode. Even if you select optimistic locking feature, if someone else made some changes while you're still working on your case, and then this user saved them, you will lose all your changes because Pega will just show you a warning message, and Pega will ask you to reapply all the changes that you did. Another thing, Pega can't edit Office documents right in the browser. Of course, you can try to generate a document. You can add rich text format control into your form. You can use some Pega out-of-the-box activities. But first of all, this option has some limitations. This control has only a few commands to manage your text appearance. And second thing, there is no two-way integration between Pega and your generated document. That's why when another customer came to us and asked us how to integrate the Pega with the real-time collaboration feature, we decided to look further into the issue. And really, we found two possible ways to overcome this challenge. First of all, implement custom solution in Pega, just to use some custom features of Pega. And second thing, we decided to test how to integrate Pega with third-party products. And going forward, using these ways, we really got the success in solving these key problems, and it helped our client to try to achieve his goals. Okay, so now I'm going to share some details about how we implemented this feature directly in Pega. We selected the case type. We have enabled optimistic locking feature. It allowed several users to work with one case at once. Then we optimized our UI. We split it into simple sections. We created savable data pages. And also we added a restriction that only one user can work with one part of data. So we divide all the data into the parts. When a user wants to edit some data, he clicks on the lock button, and all other collaborators can see that this part of data is editing by another user, is locked by another user, and no one else can edit this data at the same time with him. After that, we have created notification channels, one per one piece of data, and we included these notification channels into our sections. So when a user finishes to edit his part of data, a notification is being sent into the selected notification channel, and user interface is being updated when this message is received. So now it allows us to work in parallel with one case. All users which were allowed to work with the case can edit this data simultaneously, and this feature can be scaled to any number of users' cases, so as you want. And another option was to integrate our application with one of available Office Cloud suites. As soon as we already had the Nextcloud solution installed, we decided to integrate the application with only Office for Nextcloud suite. So what we did, we changed the process in such a way that when a user comes to the step for the first time, by using API, we're creating a folder on the server, on Nextcloud server for the case. We create an empty document there. Also by using an API, we get the link. This link is being shown on the section as a link control, so user can click on it. Then we open a document in iframe inside Pega app, And we are linking the document with case by using external URL, and we send callbacks when user finishes editing a document. Thus, all users who were allowed to enter the step can easily view the document contents and, if necessary, edit it. Okay, it's time for a quick demo. Give me a minute. I will just stop sharing the presentation. And now I'm moving to a video. Okay, I hope all of you can see my screen. Let's start. Let's start with a demonstration of our custom Pega solution. As you can see, two users logged in. Both of them opened the same case and the same assignment right from their work lists. Okay, user 2 on the right-hand side started to edit first part of data, first section, while user 1, on the left-hand side started to edit first section. As you can see, there are log icons on their screens showing who has logged a part of data. Some icons like checkbox icons to submit their changes. After the submit, all other collaborators can see these changes in real time. Okay, moving forward. As you can see, you can't submit the data, the whole form, while other user is editing his part of data. Also, there is an option to see the changes, who, when, and how edited the data by clicking on the icon. So here we can see when, who, and how edited the data. Moving forward. Now you can see that user 1 is trying to change something in the first part of data, which was edited by user 2 initially. And after he finishes, the data should be updated. Okay. Now it's possible to submit the whole form. And we are moving forward to the second demo, small demo about integrating Pega with Cloud Office Suite. Okay, we can see that also, again, two users logged in, two users opened the same assignment, and we can see that the form has a link control to external system like Nextcloud. Users can click on it, and you see the interface of Office Suite. If needed, if you want to edit some data, you need to enter your name and then just change it like you want. All other collaborators who are in the document right now will see your changes like in real time. Yeah, so it means that for multiple users, it's now possible to collaborate on one document, like simultaneously. When one user will make a change in the document, all other users, all other collaborators will see it in real time. That's it from me for today. In case if you have questions, please feel free to ask us in the Q&A chat form. I want to thank you for listening. Enjoy the rest of your day. And now I'm passing the word to Sergey. Sergey, please.
Yes, Sergey, thank you very much. Thanks for an interesting presentation. So yes, I just want to remind that the questions can be posted to the Q&A tab in the bottom of the Zoom window. I also want to ask our participants to mention the names of the presenter when you ask your questions. So when we pass through the questions at the end of the session, so we'll know to which of the keynotes the questions are being asked. Okay, so we have got some interesting stats on the attendees. That's nice. So we have got just over 60 people watching this. And now I'm going to advance to the next presenter. So please give a warm welcome to Alexander, who is going to speak about on how to avoid limitations of standard Pega UI and let developers customize the appearance and behavior of the UI forms. Alexander.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining. And welcome to the last presentation of today's webinar. Hope you have enjoyed topics presented by my colleagues and found something useful for you personally. Let me briefly introduce myself. My name is Alex, and I have more than 15 years of experience in the IT industry, both in low-code and pro-code development. In the role of CTO at Pega Services, I am responsible for enforcement of best practices across all the development teams, keeping technical expertise of our company up to date, and developing chapters, that is our internal communities, for sharing and growing expertise in a certain area. Today, I'm going to share our experience in building advanced user interface for Pega applications using React. So we all love Pega, and me personally too. But I think that no one will argue that in the area of user interface, there are certain things that may be improved. So to warm up, I suggest participating in another small survey. So please answer a question: what limitations of traditional Pega UI affect you most? And by traditional UI, I mean a UI that existed before Project Phoenix was started by Pega for massive technological improvement of Pega platform. And one of the goals of this project was switching to React as a main UI technology. So while you are posting your answers, let me tell our story. So what limitations of Pega UI we found most affecting our projects, and what solutions we finally came to. Now I will switch to the next slide, but don't worry. You will be able to complete the survey and then catch up once you've done. So from project to project, we were facing exactly the same problem. It was really hard to implement user interface exactly to customers' requirements. For example, if customer was expecting to get user interface like this, as you can see on your screen now, staying, let's say, Pega way, so using only low-code tooling provided by a platform, we would probably suggest something like this. So it's not bad. It looks nice, but not exactly the same as customers were expecting, as customer was expecting to get. And that's why it was always a trade-off between our analyst skills in persuading our customer to be happy with out-of-the-box UI, and our developer skills in writing non-auto-generated sections, custom JavaScript, CSS, and so on. And these exercises were painful, time-consuming, to be true, and rather expensive. So another challenge is to implement complex and interactive user interface scenarios. Often, you need to run some custom logic as a response to an event. Here you have to make a choice. Either to implement this logic server-side with an activity, for example, or some similar rule, and then you will be able to call this logic from using one of the actions provided out of the box by Pega. Or if you need something more interactive, you will probably have to go beyond low-code paradigm and write some custom JavaScript function and then call it from here. The first option is not bad, so it's guardrail it is guardrail compliant, but it requires interaction with the server, thus providing flow reaction for user actions. So sometimes users do not like such approach. And the second one is again painful and time consuming because it requires you to write custom JavaScript in an editor provided by a platform that in terms of developer experience is very close to Notepad. So there is no code completion, no syntax highlight, etc. So this is a challenge. And even if you find it fine to call server-side logic from action handlers, then you may face, and actually we faced such problems when orchestrating multiple actions, because there are some limitations. For example, you can't run multiple actions in parallel. The next action in the chain can't consider the outcome of the previous one, and sometimes it's important. And finally, you can't stop the chain of these actions if one of the action gave some outcome that shows that you don't need to run all the actions left. And another batch of problems we faced on real projects were in the nature of Pega UI, that is being based on a server-side framework. What does it mean to be based on a server-side framework? So let's align on this. It means that HTML representing user interface form is created on a server and then sent to a browser to be rendered. To generate HTML, a server needs to track the state of the form. And the state of the form includes such things like, which layouts and controls form consists of, which controls and layouts are shown at the moment and which are hidden, which layouts are expanded or maybe collapsed, which fields are required and optional, and so on and so on. And it means that any switch of a form state, for example, showing additional layout after user picks up a certain value from a drop-down list, requires server interaction. Frequent interactions with the server affects user experience by showing slow responses, and it also generates additional load on the server. And also it is important to mention that in this approach, when you use server-side UI framework, server performance is also affected by high consumption of memory by user sessions, also known as request clipped. And the footprint of user sessions may be significant. And finally, developer experience working with traditional user interface on Pega, let's say, is not perfect. For example, for complex sections, it is hard to figure out what is going on. So you can see a standard section from Pega 8.8 and try to guess which submit button is yours. So the one that you would like to change to add some action handler maybe. Also, and the editor sometimes is slow and consumes a lot of resources. And again, it is also based on the server-side UI framework. And as I said previously, platform provides only basic tooling for writing custom CSS, HTML, JavaScript, and sometimes, and I would say often, you may need to write some of this. So just to summarize what I have mentioned, limitations that we from our practice found the most affecting our projects were as follows. So it is hard to customize look and feel, stay in Pega way. It is hard to implement complex and interactive user interface scenarios. It is a server-side framework, and the experience is not perfect. And how can we solve these problems? First of all, it is worth mentioning that low-code platforms are usually built on the same technologies that are used in pro-code development. For example, Pega is built on Java. Historically, it uses GSP as a framework for user interface, and it is run on a Java application service. The difference is that low-code platform creators, in our case, Pega systems, do not just add any technology just because it hypes at the moment, but rather they are focused on how their platform helps their customers to achieve business goals. And that's why it takes time to verify that some technology is worth using in this low-code platform. On the other hand, client-side UI frameworks that make it possible to move the process of generating HTML and rendering the UI from the server to browser, and that facilitates building single-page applications, for example. So those frameworks are widely used, I would say, for about a decade. Some of them, like the most popular React, are showing good performance and are highly accepted by the industry. So it looks very natural that Pega decided to move to React as the main UI technology, and it happened, as I mentioned, several years ago when Project Phoenix was started. And now let's take a look at options one has on a project to go React with Pega. So the first and probably the most obvious option is to switch your application to Constellation, also known as Cosmos React. Pros are also obvious of this approach. You will stay low code. You will use an out-of-the-box solution, so it is very easy to use. One more advantage is not so obvious. It is that Constellation enforces you to build standardized UI. The idea here is that with Constellation, developers have even less freedom in authoring UI forms due to sections being replaced with design templates and views. The cons of this approach, as I see them, are as follows. You will definitely need to upgrade to the latest version of Pega. You will, and as Yaroslav mentioned, sometimes it is not as smooth and straightforward as one may expect. So it depends on how guardrail compliant your application is. Also, you will have to switch the whole application to Constellation at once. And such switch may include some rework of existing user interface, and you will have to rework all the forms at once. And as I have just mentioned, but I have mentioned it as an advantage, but it also may be considered as a disadvantage, is that it is hard to build customized user interface, as Constellation is not focused on giving you an opportunity to build very custom user interface. Another approach, the second approach, is to create a standalone React application that communicates with Pega over DX API, or now it is called Constellation DX API, as far as I am concerned. This approach has only one, but very huge advantage. You can build any UI your customer could imagine. There are no limitations because it is a standalone, detached application, so you can create anything you want. But disadvantages are also considerable. First of all, you will need to bring React expertise to your team. Also, additional architectural considerations should be made. How to organize React application in a way that it reflects the structure of your Pega application and can evolve aligned with your application. How to organize development and testing process on two different technologies, how to pack and deliver React application, etc. Also, you will have to raise complexity of your infrastructure by adding additional deployment unit. And finally, again, you will have to switch the whole application at once. And in this case, you will definitely need to create the whole user interface from the very beginning. So you won't be able to reuse any forms that were previously created with Pega traditional user interface. And the last option is to embed React application into Pega portal and then switch only needed parts of UI to React. Although in this approach, there will be some limitation on what you can do in this React app because it is embedded into Pega portal, but still you will be able to build a very customized user interface and implement complex and interactive user scenarios. Another advantage is that you can migrate your app to React on form by form basis. So you can take one form, migrate it to React, see the results, and decide whether you want to continue or you would like to stay in traditional UI. And for example, to wait for upgrade of your Pega instance to the new version and switch into Constellation, for example. Cons in this approach are as follows. First of all, you still need React expertise to be added to a team, and also additional architectural considerations should be made. I think I need to speed up. So let me describe our approach. About 3 years ago, we faced a demand from our customer to build a very customized and interactive user interface. And so it was June of 2019. Pega 8.1 was released recently. A grandfather of Constellation, I would say. So it is a React starter pack was introduced along with, let's say, its brothers like Angular and Vue starter packs. And our customer was using Pega 7.2, and there was no upgrade to Pega 8 on the roadmap at that time. And this is the context. And now I will describe how we solved this task. So first of all, we decided to go with embedded React application approach and create a reusable component that will conceal all the architectural and technical difficulties from project teams. So all the architectural and decisions as well as core development are made once and packaged into this component. And the regular developer on the project will not need to deal with it, but rather will have straightforward instructions on how to set up React application for Pega and a handy API with the familiar terminology to interact with Pega. We also decided to focus on developer experience and make it possible to use all the powerful tools available for React developers, but in the situation when React application is embedded into Pega portal. And to tell the truth, it was a challenging task, but we managed to solve it. So we started started by researching, prototyping, and in October 2019 we entered an implementation phase, and finally in April 2020 we have released the first stable version of our component. And by the way, we called it Franken. On the next slides, I'll illustrate, just in general, 3 main aspects of using Franken in Pega projects. So they are embedding into user portal, communicating with Pega, and some DevOps routines. So let's consider a case when you need to implement a React user interface for a single step of a process. In traditional Pega portal, there is an area where perform harness is rendered, and then this harness constructs the corresponding user interface for a given step of a process using the configuration provided in the flow rule, in the flow action rule, and finally in section rule. As a part of a component, we created a harness that acts as an entry point to React user interface for an assignment. All developer needs to do is to specify this custom harness. It is called front-end perform harness, you may guess, in an assignment configuration on the flow. So, and then once an assignment is opened, this harness is rendered, and it locates, so it contains a logic to locate and start corresponding React application. And where this application is stored, I will show you on the next slide. So the application is started, and then this application chooses the right assignment component depending on the context where it is called. So depending on what step of a process it is, and so on. And this React component is a component that developers have created with React exactly for this assignment. So it may be as custom as needed. So another aspect is communicating with Pega. And what we have done is included a client-side JavaScript library included into our product, our component. And this library provides a handy API that may be used by your components that you create for an assignment, for example. So it may be used for communicating both with Pega server and Pega portal. On the diagram, I have shown only most popular actions supported by this library. For example, using this library, you can communicate with Clipboard. So write, read, create pages, performing flow action, so to move forward by flow, and finally executing certain rules and getting results of such execution, if any. And the library may be easily added to any JavaScript project as an npm dependency. And the last aspect is building, deploying, and delivering this React application for different environments. It is common to keep sources of React application in source control system, such as Git. And in our projects, leveraging Franken, we were doing exactly the same way. We put sources of React application for Pega into Git repository. Then a developer clones sources to a local machine and starts authoring the UI in one of the popular IDEs. For example, we prefer to use IntelliJ IDE, but any other IDE may be used. Our component comes equipped with a toolset that, among others, allows the developers to locally start this React app being developed and see how it works being embedded in the Pega portal. So it means that there is no need to package and then deploy the React application to development environment before you can see the results of your authoring. But rather, developer can see what changes, how the changes she made are reflected in UI, right in the local environment. And so she can debug, introduce necessary fixes, and so on. And once the developer is happy with her results, she pushes updates to Git, and then a build server job is triggered, which builds React application bundle and uploads it to Pega developed environment in the form of a data instance. The name of the data instance is formed according to some certain rules, and so it is well known for a team. Later, this bundle, so this data instance should be included into Pega product rule, and this enables this React bundle to travel between environments as a part of a standard Pega archive. So it is very simple and straightforward. Actually, that's all from me today. But just one more thing. You may wonder if our experience of building React user interface for Pega that is more than 2 years old is up to date. And I believe that yes, it's actual. And the reason is that Constellation, in my opinion, is still in the adoption phase. And also, if you would like to use it in existing applications, you will have to upgrade to the latest version of Pega platform. And on the other hand, Constellation approaches the task of building React UI for Pega applications in completely different way. While our approach allows to build the user interface using React itself and all of its features, Constellation is focused on running user interface configured with low-code tooling provided by platform, but on top of the React technology. So these are two different approaches, and it is up to you which approach to choose for your project. So thanks again for joining. Hope.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Alexander. It was a, tremendous and, magnificent keynote. Well, now let's go through the questions that, we got accumulated here in the chat. So there's a question from Igor Rutin about the tablet apps, apparently, that goes to Yaroslav. Was it a standalone iOS or Android app or an adaptive web page for the browser?
Yes, thank you, Igor, for your question. No, we used a web browser to access Pega from a tablet.
Okay. So there's a question from Neil Popal. Well, I'm very sorry if I, while reading the questions, if I mispronounce somebody's name. So, but I'll do my best not to. So the question from Niall, did you support the same group of users as a desktop app with the new tablet app?
No, it was a completely new, different group of users, ones who worked in these, as I said, universal banking offices. But still, they had access to desktop Pega application from desktops, but while working in this so-called universal banking offices, they used only tablets.
Okay, good. Thank you very much, Yaroslav. So I believe the next set of questions will go to Sergey. So that's a question from Nidhi Sharma. When you divided the data, then did you save it in different tables, or the data gets saved simultaneously in the work table?
Thanks for the question. First of all, yes, when we divided the data, we have created the separate data classes, which were mapped to different data tables. So we didn't save all the data into the work table. We have created separate tables.
All right. Thank you. The next question comes from anonymous user. Simultaneous work. Did I understand correctly? There's no need to refresh the case to see changes made by other users. Changes are shown in real time, right in Pega.
Yes, you're right. All the changes are shown in real time because of these notification channels. We have enabled, we have created, first of all, these notification channels, and we have included it into our sections. That's why UI is being updated right from getting a message into this channel. And yes, you don't need to manually refresh your screen. Thanks for the question.
What will user 2 see if user 1 completes an assignment?
To be honest, only small portion of users can submit the whole form. So these cancel submit buttons are only visible for one user who can allow who is allowed to enter this step. Yeah. Thanks for
Okay.
the question.
Thanks. And the next one comes from Pavel Adamchuk. I really liked the implementation with the small sections and a notification channel. Are you going to share some more details after the meeting, how it was implemented?
I hope we can create a portion of articles right in LinkedIn where we can describe how it worked. Sergey, what do you think?
Yes, I think we can do it, and you know, we'll be sending some follow-ups, and of course, you know, if there are any questions or any comments that go beyond this session, so feel free to get connected with us on LinkedIn, with either of or any of the team members or myself, and you know, we'll do our best to help you and you know, just provide you some guidance.
Okay, then I can agree to share the details of the meeting.
Yeah, well, and there's a question from Unikrishnan. How do you make this internal URL whitelisted? Is the doc, will the doc have the vulnerability check done in Pega or in external third-party provider?
Thanks for the question. About the first part, I need to take a look at our application settings, but what about the second part? If I got it right, authentication is being done in the by using SSO, so we are passing the token, and then our integrated server, Nextcloud server, can understand who is working with the document. Thank you.
Okay, I see. So now I believe we are getting to the set of questions addressed to Alexander. So there's a question from Lex Rugitor. Which Pega version are you working with? UIKit based on 8.8 Constellation.
So actually, we have different Pega versions on different projects. Some are running on 7, on Pega 7, some on Pega 8. The component I was talking about is compatible with at least 7.2 and up. And I guess the last version we checked how it works on was Pega 8.5, as far as I remember, because it's the highest version our clients using this component work on.
Okay, thanks, Alex. And there's a question from Nell Popal. Did you consider to use Pega DXI API instead of creating a custom API?
Yes, we were considering this option, but then it turned out that DX API is more suitable for some either external communication with Pega or some standalone React application, as for example, Cosmos React app. It's indeed it is a standalone application, and it has no state for the current session in Pega. But in our case, when we are embedding our component into Pega portal, it is much more handy to work with Clibot directly, but through easy to use API. So that's why we created our own.
Okay, thank you very much, Alex. And I believe that's the last questions we have here in the roster. How is the question comes from Unikrishnan? How is the accessibility for this component is ensured?
I'm afraid that as far as it is a kind of proof of concept still, we didn't pay much attention to accessibility. So it is something that we can add in next versions. At this moment, we only have localization implemented. So field values for corresponding locale will be used to show certain text on the screen.
Right. Okay. So no more questions. Therefore, I would like to say that we really appreciate everyone's to join us today. I hope you enjoyed the keynotes. Well, we'll be keep doing it in future. So you can see on the screen that what sort of people we had joining us. Thank you very much. We will be providing the materials after today's session. And thanks for being with us. Have a great day, evening, or night, depending where you're located. Thanks. Be in touch. Bye-bye.
I suggest having a look at what limitation of Pega UI you have posted. So
all right.
See it.
So I was not aware. Yeah, okay. So and I believe we will be able to share this information with the participants as well.
Okay, thanks. Have a nice end of the day.
And in the link on the LinkedIn, just below the events invitation or event description, feel free to post any comments. How the event was, or send us your feedback directly. We'll really appreciate it, and we'll be doing our best to deliver the most interesting topics to you. That's it. Thank you very much.
Thanks for joining.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks for
Bye-bye.
joining. Bye. Bye.